So this fanfiction idea was voted on over on Patreon. As always, if you'd like to help with polls over on Patreon, as well as check out movie reviews, I had just posted my review last night of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire over there on Patreon. Yeah, just hit the first link, and that'll give you access to movie reviews as well as the polls. And this one, the first of these polls, because I did 2 versus ones, and this one was very, like, 1-by-1 vote, literally. It was a very close one. It's kind of nice to see close ones instead of, you know, one poll just ass-blasting everyone else. And that is, of course, you can see Judge Dredd versus Robocop. This was the one I kind of wanted to win anyway. So, yeah. So let's talk about Judge Dredd versus Robocop. A crossover that should have happened, it should happen in comics. I still think it should happen in comics. I don't know who owns the comic rights. I think it's Boom Studios who currently owns the rights to RoboCop. I think it is. Yeah, I think it is Boom Studios. And I think IDW and 2000 AD are still working together on comics every so often with Judge Dredd. So, boom. Boom, IDW. Give us literally the 2 greatest lawmen in comics and have them fight. How hard is that? It would certainly, Judge Dredd's had a long list of good crossovers, give or take, and RoboCop has had a stretch of just fighting Terminator, and that's it. So, anyway, so let's get started with the story. So the story begins in Mega City 1, where the Angel family has broken into a lab, and Hershey and Dredd are first on the scene. So, of course, they go, they get into a firefight with the Angel family, who are in the midst of it, and Hershey's, like, points out that, not Hershey, excuse me, Anderson. Wrong one. Judge Anderson. My bad. Hershey's the other one. Sorry. So, Judge Anderson is, like, Anderson is telling Dredd, like, look, this doesn't make sense. Like, the Angel family doesn't do this. Like, they're wastelanders, and now they've not only snuck into Mega City, but now they're attacking, like, a research facility? None of this tracks. And, like, the other thing is, too, I can't get a read on their minds. Something weird's going on, and Dredd doesn't give a shit. Like, they're perps. They're, they've broken into the city, and they're stealing high-tech. They're also committing theft and larceny and murder. As far as I'm concerned, that's all that matters. Because, of course, Dredd's very single-minded in this. So Dredd and Anderson, push forward and discover that the Angel family wasn't working alone because Judge fucking Death is among them. So Judge Death and the Angel family were working together, and they basically, the thing they want to use is this time machine. More or less, the working thing with these scientists was that they wanted to not so much alter time, but more like peer back into the days before the events that led to, the creation of Mega City 1. And their whole thing was like, we wanted to learn from our mistakes from the past, but they want to use it as like to alter time. So, yeah. So Dredd's like, all right, let's go after, let's go after them. And Anderson is like, whoa, time out. You want to go back in time and possibly alter the future? And he goes, they're perps. They ran, like, the perps got away. As far as I'm concerned, they're just fleeing the scene. It doesn't matter where they run. The fact is, they still ran. So Anderson's like, oh, fuck me. All right, let's go. So Dredd and Anderson go back in time, and now we cut to the I guess past, but it's also the present, whatever. And we are in old Detroit, that is currently in the midst of a riot that is being quelled by actually Hershey and, of course, Alex Murphy, RoboCop. Murphy and Hershey, along with other cops from the police force, are trying to quell this riot that's occurring. And they're like, this is what happens when and it starts as a sports riot. What happens in this future is that the Lions have won their first Super Bowl, and the whole city's gone crazy. So and Hershey's like, this is why I was never a sports guy, and RoboCop just goes, this is why I'm only a Red Wings fan. And she's like, "You're fucking with me, right?" Am I? Anyway, so amidst the riot, Judge Death and the Angel family have arrived in the present, and Death tells them, you know, the Angel family look like Mean, and the rest of the Angel family like look up at Judge Death and are like, "So what's the plan now?" And he's like, "Oh, fucking, I don't care what happens to you guys. I got work to do." So Death goes off. You know, Death fucks off to do his own thing, and the Angel family are just like, "Well, there's no Robocop. There's no, you know, I mean, there's no." God, I know I've been butchering this whole time. There's no Judge Dredd, there's no judges, and there's shit and money here, and food, for as far as the eye can see. So they immediately just start, you know, causing havoc. And this gets the attention of course, Robocop. And they're like, "What the fuck is that?" So they're like, "Yeah, it looks like it's, you know, it looks like there's a man under that suit." Good meat. So the Angel family does battle with Robocop. Of course, if this was an actual crossover, you'd have to have Mean Angel, you know, Mean, go head-to-head with Robocop. And Robocop's thinking to himself, this doesn't make it, like, is this just another, like, weird test from OCP? Was this another reject like Kane was? I don't know. But he fights him, and at that point, when the rest of the Angel family try to run off, but Robocop does, you know, auto-target their legs and just kind of pin them to the ground. He's like, "Your move, creeps." So at that point, they're all down, and him and Hershey are about to make an arrest, when suddenly Robocop hears a voice, and it says, "Back off, they're mine." And he turns around, it's Dredd. And Dredd is like, "Listen, you know, those men belong to me along with another perp. You're gonna hand them over." And he goes, "I'm sorry, sir. I don't recognize your authority." And he's like, "I don't care if you do. Those, you know, those men belong to, you know, to Mega City 1. He's like, "Mega City 1 does not exist." To which Hershey's like, what the fuck is this? What weird cosplay are you guys doing? And Anderson's like, wait. I can tell you everything. Like, please, just listen. And Robocop's like, "You can tell us everything when you come, you know, when you come with us to the police station." And Dredd is like, "Sorry, I know it's your district, you know, I know it's your district officer, but this is my, but these are my perps." So Robocop doesn't, because it's like, you're like a weirdo dressed as a cop. Like, Robocop lists off all the things he's he's done. Like, he lists off, you know, interfering with an arrest, pretending to be a cop, and also, you know, disturbing the peace. And Dredd in his head, Dredd is like, you know, the guy knows his rules, and I almost feel sorry I'm going to hurt him. Almost. So Robocop and Dredd fight. Like, it's just a full-on fight. And Dredd is like, I'd love to throw in a reference to the Batman crossovers, where Dredd's like, "God, this guy, you know, Batman, you know, he went down in a few punches. This guy can take a punch." So they're fighting, and Robocop's, you know, firing back. He's got great, of course he has his auto-target system, so Dredd is actually getting hit by it, but his armor is holding up. Meanwhile, Anderson and Hershey are like, they do have their guns pointed at each other, but Anderson's basically in a frantic motion, like, trying to explain what's happening, and she's like, "I know this is going to sound weird, but Officer Hershey, you have to listen to me. We come from a different time period." And Hershey's like, "Excuse me?" So Anderson has to share all of her thoughts with Hershey, while Dredd and Murphy are continuously, like, fighting each other. Dredd's like getting struck by Robocop's punches. Murphy's getting shot by all these different bullets, but he keeps coming back up. And he's like, "Now I'm going to add attempted murder on an officer to your charge, sir." And he's like, "You didn't give me an option. And as far as I'm concerned, you're the one who's interfering with an arrest, officer. And you fired on me." So they both of them just continuously fight. Like, Robocop grabs, like, rips a post out of the ground, just hits Dredd with it. Dredd counters with, like, a flame grenade that almost blows off Robocop's arms. It's just a full-on fight, and while this is obviously a fight like this between these two, have obviously attracted the attention of OCP. However, what happens is that the board of directors are kind of a little altered, because Judge Death's whole thing is that he's shown up and is now, like, put them under his control. Because, you know, Judge Death can just do whatever the writers want him to. So, Judge Death basically has them all under his control and unleashes Ed 209s to try to kill them all. So, the four of them are now are forced to fall back. Anderson explains the whole thing and is like, look, listen, we came back to the past because we were following the Angel family and also another guy named Judge Death. And they're like, who? Judge Death, is he one of you? He's like, and Dredd goes, no, he's an evil demonic entity from another universe. And they're like, cool. So what does Judge Death want? What does this Judge Death guy want? And they're basically like, well, here's the thing, we don't know. Our guess is that they sent the Angel family to further distract, that Judge Death sent them to be a distraction while they do, while Judge Death does whatever. So they have to go to OCP because they're the only person who could have Ed 209s fired on them, and also Judge Death basically just signed his name on that attack. So they go there, they fight their way through more Judge Death, more of the judges in the Judge Death's more demonically enhanced Ed 209s. And this is where Judge Death reveals his plan, because what he wants to do is alter the course of history by unleashing the the dark universe that he's from into this timeline previously, so there's no Judge Dredd to stop him. Because he's tried that shtick before, but now, he wants to create a universe of law and chaos. Of the law is chaos. There will be no Mega City 1. There won't be anything to stop him. So Dredd and Robocop have to they're like, well, how's he gonna do that? And Robocop just spikes his way into a nearby console and uploads it. He's like, oh god. And they're like, what? OCP's been kind of tampering with the idea of making their own collider, like the one in Europe, like their own Hadron Collider, just so they could find a way to power New Detroit and tax people for it. And Hershey's like, well, good to know they never change. But yeah, Judge Death, how he wants to do it is use the collider to open a doorway into the fucking into his universe and bring them here. So yeah, it's not a great time. So Dredd and Robocop go to face Judge Death, who's now piloting this giant mech suit that is reminiscent of Kane's body from Robocop 2. So they fight him. Robocop and Dredd do fire their guns, they take right aim and fire into Judge Death. They make him stumble into the collider. As the portal's opening up, it blows up, but it traps Death on the other side, and rather than make a black hole, it just stops, because why not? It just stops from the negative energy, I guess. I didn't really think that part through. Anyway, so by the end of it, Dredd and Anderson and Judge Anderson are just like, well, we can take the, Death's gonna find his way back. There's no doubt about it. We've done this before with him. He's one way or another gonna find his way back, but we can take the Angel family and take them back to our time. And they're like, well, how are you gonna do that? And they're like, well, the scientists are waiting for us to give the signal so they can pull us back. So by the end of it, Dredd and Murphy have this moment where Dredd's like, it's good to have met you, officer, but I don't think you could have lasted long in Mega City 1. He's like, funny, I was going to say the same thing about you in Detroit. So they part ways, and that's the end of the story. So there you go, guys. That is Judge Dredd versus Robocop. A crossover that could happen in comics if they only would. Come on, Boom and IDW. You can do this. It's cool. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Judge Dredd versus Robocop? Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.